Hey, this is Michael Rosenbaum.
Hey guys, Tom Welling. Look, we've both played heroes.
And we both played villains. But in the real life, there are no reshoots, no stuntmen, or sequels.
We all make mistakes. We're all human.
Making one bad decision can not only land you in jail, but could also put yourself and other people around you in serious risk.
Be smart, make a plan, catch a ride, stay put.
Don't let a high moment turn into a lifetime of regret. This holiday season, be your own hero. If you feel different, you drive different. Drive high, get a DUI.
Paid for by NHTSA.
AI agents are everywhere, automating tasks and making decisions at machine speed. But agents make mistakes. Just one rogue agent can do big damage before you even notice. Rubrik Agent Cloud is the only platform that helps you monitor agents, set guardrails, and rewind mistakes, so you can unleash agents, not risk. Accelerate your AI transformation at Rubrik.com. That's RUBRIK.com.
Happy holidays! Want to give your host a gift? Consider subscribing, rating, and reviewing the show this holiday season. It really helps the show grow. From all of us at Believe, have a Merry Christmas, everyone, and a Happy Holiday.
Hey, Trojan family, what's up? Welcome back to the USC LAFB show here on the LAFB network. I'm your host, Ryan Dyberd. Thank you always for hanging out and making this a part of your day, 3-4 times a day. You can never sleep when covering USC, which is great for me. Hopefully good for you. Hopefully you enjoy it. But yeah, plenty to keep us engaged and talking about. And wanted to get back on. I got a few more videos coming there today. One recruiting update, get that out. This is, I feel like, was a little more time sensitive, but recruiting update. And then 4 more signings happened today, re-signing. So we'll get into that for this evening. We'll get that posted. So be on the lookout for that. So make sure to hit that like and subscribe button if you have not already. Help us keep growing this channel and keep the content flowing. But wanted to discuss a little bit more kind of Dan and Lynn, what's going on with the DC position at USC. Obviously, that's a trending topic. Obviously, need some clarity here rather quickly. And an opposing team, some news broke that makes things very interesting. So I'm not jumping on here, getting on some rumor mills and stuff like that, but just kind of giving my take and opinion on kind of maybe what's going on behind the scenes and what it means for USC. So I already did a video earlier. Everyone knows by now, Dan and Lynn, DC, linked again to Penn State. The big holdup with that really happening, I mean, Penn State zeroed in on him as their defensive coordinator. I haven't heard emphatically that Lynn wants to go, but I've definitely heard that there's like mutual interest. You know, it's his alma mater. I think there was interest last year, but obviously SC, Lincoln Riley, and the powers that be were able to persuade him to stay and extended his contract and made him one of the highest paid coordinators in college football. So there's interest, right? You can't fault him for that. It is his alma mater and whatnot. And a fresh start. I talked about that earlier, so I won't get into that. But for USC, I say, so the big holdup was the buyout. And Penn State, and there's been other reports, Pete Nakos has reported this, others in the industry and stuff I've heard, is that Penn State is not really at right now willing to pay the full amount of his buyout. Now, I don't know what that exact number is since USC is private. That's not disclosed. We can assume he's making between $2 and $3 million a year for a 3 to 4 year period. So, you know, you can say roughly between $6 and $12 million probably is what that buyout is. And they would have to pay USC that amount and then have their contract. So they'd essentially, if they, let's say the buyout's $2.5 million per year and they're going to hire him for $2.5 million, they're actually paying him basically $5 million to be a coordinator. So that's kind of the holdup on their end. If you're USC, like, yeah, you're not, why would you pay to go watch your coordinator go away? So I don't think USC is in a position where they're going to do anything. However, USC has all the power right now because of something that just happened across the college football landscape, in the sense that the University of Texas and head coach Steve Sarkisian have decided to move on from their defensive coordinator, Pete Kwiatkowski. Pete Kwiatkowski is considered widely as one of the top defensive coordinators in college football. Texas's defense, a little bit of a down year. I'll get into all that and all the semantics and whatnot. But in a move, kind of somewhat stunning move, decided to move on from him, and they hired Will Muschamp to be their defensive coordinator. Will Muschamp's a great DC, and he wasn't a great head coach, but certainly one of the great DCs and defensive minds in football. So, that's them. So now Pete Kwiatkowski is on the market. Now, this is me just projecting, right? This is me just talking kind of what could be and what could be happening behind the scenes, right? So let me first start off by saying nothing has happened. Danton Lynn was at practice today. Our good friend Scott Schrader was doing the Lord's work, lurking around and was able to see that Lynn was at practice today. So, so he was there. Now, and we, like I said earlier, we were originally supposed to have media availability with him. That was canceled. So, whether something's happening behind the works or whether they just did not want to have to deal with the questioning, you can make that assumption for yourself. But so with Kwiatkowski, and here's kind of the interesting inner layers of this. One, obviously the connection. He coached at Washington while Jen Cohen, USC's AD, was there. He coached came from Boise State with head coach Chris Peterson, who Jen Cohen was a huge she wasn't the AD at that time, but was like an assistant AD and a huge factor in the hiring of Chris Peterson. Chris Peterson brought Kwiatkowski over with him. Coached at Washington for many years, had some elite defenses. Great time at Washington there with Jen Cohen. Then he obviously goes to Texas. Had some good defenses. Last year was kind of the pinnacle, the third overall ranked overall defense for Texas. They go to the college football playoff, have success, make it, a couple rounds in. So the connection's there, obviously. The other connection, and again, I need to keep saying, I don't want to see Danton Lynn leave. I think he is a very good coordinator. There's a reason why other schools want him. He's a great football mind. But if it doesn't feel like a great fit or he doesn't really fully want to be here, then hey, there might be other optionalities. Why Kwiatkowski would be a solid, I think a lot of fans think it would be a fantastic hire. But why it is even schematically is both guys run ultimately the same defense, right? They both run very similar defensive schemes that would make the transition nearly seamless.
Drinking and driving is a decision that will change your whole world. Things will never be the same once you get a DUI, because legal fees and time in court are just the beginning. Getting into a crash is another way your world could be irreversibly changed after drinking and driving. Your vehicle may not be the only thing that gets damaged in that crash. You could face a life-altering injury or even death. But you're not the only one who could face those consequences. Your decision to drink and drive could permanently change someone else's world, whether you injure them or leave their loved ones grieving. The next time you're out drinking, call a rideshare, a taxi, a sober friend, or a designated sober driver. Always plan for a safe ride home. The only decision that'll change your world for the better is the decision to call for a sober ride. It's never worth it to drive drunk. Don't risk it. Drive sober or get pulled over. Paid for by NHTSA.
And so as long as the full coaching staff stays intact, and again, I still personally would not even be opposed to just promoting from within. But if you're going to bring someone from the outside with the thought that, hey, yeah, we want someone that's called plays, that's, has a lot of experience being the coordinator, but we do not want to disrupt our staff. Like, we love this staff. The players love it. We would, there'd be a big ripple effect if that happens. So we want to find a DC that can come in, A, wants to keep the staff, obviously, but B, is not going to be like changing our entire philosophy. Well, Kwiatkowski would run a very similar style of defense that Dan Lynn does. So let's get into that first. So he runs some call it a 2-4-5, some call it a 4-2-5, kind of how you want to decipher it. 2-4-5 being that it's 2 down linemen and 4 linebackers. In this day and age, though, it's 2 D tackles and 2 edges within 2 true stack backers. So exactly and then 5 defensive backs. So exactly how USC has been running it under Dan Lynn, right? Yeah, you have your 2D tackles, whether that was Jade Abasari and Devin Tompkins. Then you have Cam Crawford and Braylon Shelby as your two edges. They're on the line of scrimmage, but they're stand-up edges, typically, not hand in the dirt. And then you typically have your two backers, whether that was Dez and Gentry or Dez and Walker, and then your 5 defensive backs. And sometimes they would switch it up. Obviously, that's your base. You'd switch up sometimes with 3 backers. They had some different exotic looks, but that was kind of the base package for both these guys. So very similar, seamless there. The other similarity is you're not going to blitz a lot. We know Dan Lynn doesn't blitz a lot. Kwiatkowski is not going to blitz a lot. They want to rush with 4, get pressure with 4, and do that through simulated blitzes to kind of fool the offense, through stunts, through just any different twists, anything to, fool the offense, but you're still just rushing with 4. There's sometimes you'll drop an edge back in coverage and blitz a corner. If you remember in that Illinois game when DeCarlos Nicholson had that blast of a sack, that was one of those, right? Drop an edge back, you blitz the corner, but you're still really just rushing 4 players and keeping, 7, if my math is right, 7 back protecting, the field. Typically, Kwiatkowski has run a lot of cover 2 in the past, leaving the middle of the field kind of open. You kind of keep everything in front of you. You let the middle of the field kind of remain open, and then, seal off the edges. Over the years, he's transitioned more to clogging the middle a lot more, running a lot more cover 3, cover 4, which, then can sometimes leave you susceptible to sometimes things deep, but you're clogging that middle, not giving up the easy slant routes and stuff like that. So, in 2024, when they had the 3rd-ranked defense, they ran cover 3 my handwriting's terrible, 39.7% of the time, and they ran cover 4 25.7% of the time. So you're looking at, nearly 62% of that running cover 3 or cover 4. And they ran cover 1 roughly 15%, and cover 2 was like the least that they ran. So a little bit of a modernization to his defense to kind of adapt to, I think, playing at the time in the SEC. And when you're looking at run-heavy looks. So that is what you would want to see adapted coming over to USC if this were to happen. Because obviously in the Big Ten, you're facing a lot of run-heavy looks. So you need to clog that middle. You can't have these soft shells that we saw at times this year. So that would maybe be the one little difference from Dan Lynn's defense. But we saw Dan Lynn transition that a little bit through the season, especially after that Notre Dame game. It wasn't maybe stacking the box like everyone wanted, but it certainly was clogging the middle more and having more bodies in the middle, maybe just not up to the line of scrimmage as much as fans would have liked to see against run-heavy teams. But they were, the second halves speak for themselves. When you look at Iowa, when you look at what they were able to do in the second half against these teams, is they've made those adjustments to clog the middle and still not let people behind them. So, yeah. So, that's kind of the nitty-gritty of Kwiatkowski. Getting probably way ahead of my skis. But the main reason I'm saying all that is twofold. One, if Dan Lynn were to leave and they are looking externally, then he does make the most sense because of the connection and because of the seamless transition of very similar schematic. You don't want to go and get someone that's going to just change everything and you're starting over again going the next year when it's like a must-win year. But 2, also just emphasizing that for those that see Texas and see their defense and then say like, okay, well, yeah, I don't like Lynn. Go, please, you can go. Your scheme didn't work here. You're going to get a lot of the same if this is the direction they want to go. And one of the reasons, and you can ask a lot of people, and this is taking nothing away from Kwiatkowski, but one of the reasons why he has had good defenses is just some of the elite talent. Right? Like, I will never badmouth these players. I don't badmouth any players, period, but especially not college athletes. But you have to be realistic that there is a talent gap, and there has been a talent gap that is finally getting better. Ohio State loses what many would say, all of a sudden now they're not saying it anymore. This just shows, this is proving my point. Many would say Jim Knowles, the best defensive coordinator, best defensive mind in college football. They lose him. Replace him with essentially a castaway at the time. Matt Patricia, when he was hired, everyone was like, what are you doing? You're hiring Matt Patricia to replace Jim Knowles? Their defense is almost better. The players and the talent matter. Now, scheme and coaching obviously is a huge factor. I'm not saying it isn't. But players make you look a lot better sometimes. And they can make you look a lot worse sometimes. Jim Knowles now all of a sudden, after what happened at Penn State, is like people aren't saying he's a top 5 coordinator all of a sudden. Like the dude just forgot how to coach. So the same is similar with Dan Lynn, right? At UCLA, he has the huge turnaround. They had some elite players on that defense. They had 2 315-pound plus defensive tackles, which is what you need in this defense. They had Latu, top 15 pick, first defensive player taken in the NFL draft off the edge. Had Kamari Ramsey that year. Hey, what's going on, LAFB family? Before we get to the show, got to tell you about my friends over at Sleeper. The number one sports app right now, and not just for season-long fantasy. They have daily game updates. They have a live chat that you can chat with other users. Plus, my favorite part is the daily fantasy feature, which is similar to a pick'em. You just choose 2 or more players across any sport. Choose more or less in whatever sport that may be. So if it's football, more or less touchdowns. For Jaden Mayava, if it's Mekhi Lemon, more or less receptions. If you're looking at the Dodgers, more or less home runs for Shohei Ohtani. Really easy, and you can win real money. Right now, when you go and make your first deposit, make sure you use our promo code. You see it right there on the screen, USC LAFB. That's going to give you a match deposit bonus up to $100. You put in $100 to play with, you're going to get $100 free on top of that. You can put in 10, you get 10 free. Also, right now, our friends are offering a $20 free entry for any new signups. If you go sign up today, you'll get both those offers. You get $20 right off the bat free to play with. Plus, use that promo code USCLAFB at sign up and you'll get that match bonus as well. Go to the App Store, Google Play, download the Sleeper app today, and tell them that the USC LAFB sent you. Now, let's get on to the show. Comes over to USC. In that first season at USC, double turnaround, right? From 116 to 70 or whatever they finished at, 67. A lot of that was because of veteran presences, but still a big talent gap. But it was veteran guys that at least knew how to play football, could adapt, and they were good enough to at least play sound football. Then you go into this year, you have injuries, you have a lot of youth, you still didn't quit, you still had the size discrepancy. As great as we thought the D-tackle room was going to be, you still didn't have 2 300-plus pound tackles going every single play. Like, there were some plays out there, you'd had Keyshawn Silver and Jamal Jarrett, 2 big bodies, and when they were out there together, which was not a lot, but when they were, you could feel the presence, right? When Devin Tompkins and Jadaea Basseri and, like, great players, but they just didn't quite have that size to fill that void that was needed. You could have one of those, and that's with the thought of Keyshawn Silver coming in. But anyway, I think you kind of get what I'm trying to say here. So the players do matter. So I still want to see, I would love to see Dan Lynn stay, because I do think he's a really good coach, and I do think what they're doing on defense is going to be better next year simply because of the talent acquisition, and simply because they're going to go pretty crazy in the portal. And I say that not by sheer numbers, but by who they're going to get. They're going to get some elite guys in the portal. But if he does decide it's a better fit elsewhere, and they decide to go external, then Pete Kwiatkowski will come in seamlessly. Could, and again, this is all just speculation, could come in seamlessly and fit right in, because the scheme will say virtually the same, very similar. Obviously some differences. I'm not having dove too deep, giving you the very general. But as I said this morning, no matter what happens, the number one priority is keeping the staff. Coach Henne, Coach Belk, Coach Reed, Coach Nua, even Coach Ryan, I think. I mean, you do whatever you can. And if that means you got to promote so none of them get poached, you do it. If that means you can bring a guy in with a similar scheme, like a Kwiatkowski, then, and he'll keep everyone intact, then great. So anyway, want to get on here because that's kind of the trending topic right now. Let me know your guys' thoughts. Based on social media reaction to when he got fired, there was some other like Texas reporters that linked him immediately to USC. Obviously, I said the connection to Jen Cohen. I think he's originally from Santa Barbara, so a SoCal guy originally, played college football at Boise State, but kind of a West Coast guy. So the connections are there. And the last thing, sorry, I meant to say this when I was talking about the buyout and why USC has the upper hand. So they have the upper hand here because they don't need to help Penn State, buy out Dan Lynn's contract, right? Like, why would they? But if he really does want to go out, which again, I don't know that. I think he has interest in Penn State, but I'm not saying he egregiously wants to leave USC. I don't think that's the case at all. I think he likes being here, but maybe he sees like an opportunity that he would prefer, to each their own. No disrespect at all. 24 hours ago, if USC was going to have to replace Dan Lynn and they were going to look externally, if that's a decision they had kind of thought of, like, hey, if this happens, like, who are our candidates? Why would they pay part of his buyout and then have to go pay the buyout of someone else? If they're going to go poach another DC who's employed, well, then they basically paid to lose their DC and then go pay to take another one. Now with this new development, there's one of the top DCs, a free agent. They don't got to pay no. They don't have to pay any poaching fee, whatever you want to call it. So if mutually it's like, yeah, maybe it is best, let's go our ways. Maybe now they would be like, you know what? We are willing to eat some of this, Penn State, because now we're getting someone virtually like for free. Now, I still don't think they should pay anything. That's silly because everything I said, I think Dan Lynn works here. I think he can make it work and be great this season. But now they'd be a little bit more inclined to, hey, if it's mutually like, hey, let's just, we'll move on. That's fine. Hate to see you go to a Big Ten rival, but, we'll make it happen. Now you're not having to pay double if that does come down to it. So last little point there. One other name, and again, I said I wasn't going to make a hot board because this hasn't happened yet. Once it happens, I'll get truly more in that, but I did want to address him. But one more name just to watch, just to throw out there, just to blow the mind a little bit. And again, I haven't gotten into him like schematically and what it would look like. I just a name that I kind of thought of randomly. Kyle Whittingham has been a thorn in USC's side for a long time. He was reported that he was leaving Utah to retire and then quickly came out that, oh, no, he's not retiring. He just felt it was the time was right to step away from Utah and pass the keys to Morgan Scalley to be the next head coach. But he reportedly is looking to coach still, whether that's in the head coach capacity, whether that's in a coordinator capacity. Just putting that hot stove out there. Dude's obviously a great coach. I have no idea if there's interest or fit or whatever. I'm just throwing it out there. There you go. There's the latest for the Dan Lynn saga. Any other news, I'll have back for you. 100%. Make sure to check and follow our message board. I got a thread there. Well, any information I get, I'll throw up on there quickly so you can check that out. Make sure to hit that subscribe button here so you are notified every time I come up with a new report. And I'll have a recruiting report up here in a little bit. And then obviously, like I said, we'll be talking these latest 4 signings that were announced today. So crazy times always in USC land, and I'm glad to be a part of it with you. So thank you, family, as always. Bye now.
Happy holidays. Want to give your host a gift? Consider subscribing, rating, and reviewing the show this holiday season. It really helps the show grow. From all of us at Believe, have a Merry Christmas, everyone, and a Happy Holiday. If you like the show, please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe. It really does help the show to grow. Thank you for listening.